So I'm at my father-in-law's cabin, just out in the boonies. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no nothing out here really. It's completely off the grid. And as you saw, we're right beside a pond. And we're on day 3 of a family camping trip, so my father-in-law and my mother-in-law are out here. And we have my wife and kids out here as well. And it's early enough that I've got a few minutes just before things get a little crazy, so. And people are hungry. Seems to be a common theme on a camping trip. Figured I'd get some journaling done. This is, of course, my trusted traveler's notebook. It's just a sticker release paper that I've got there. And for this trip, I purposely put in a fresh watercolor insert. That's what I like to use for doing travel journals. Anyhow, I think what I'm going to do is probably just I have to get caught up on a couple of trips already from earlier on this year. And I like doing this every year just with my kids. It is to make a travel notebook. I'm going to take it just right out here, just for convenience sake. Fasten this nice, lovely traveler's notebook quick there. And we're going to draw a couple of things, I suppose. Let's see here. And I bought fresh stickers for this trip as well. Some camping stickers. And I also, in my sticker insert, have a ton of camping stickers. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get started with these ones here. Admittedly, the light out here isn't all that great. So we're going to do our best. I don't know if I shine a bit of extra light out here, and if that helps any, maybe not. Just for my headlamp there. So I always like to draw a tiny little map first, just showing how we've traveled. I'm going to just draw a very rudimentary car pulling a station wagon. And I'm just drawing a very simplified map to... We like to call this area the pond in the family. So as I mentioned, we arrived a couple of days ago. And it's been, what's the best way to put it? It's been very wet and rainy as of late. So, all sorts of fun with respect to that, obviously. And what we were trying to do more than anything else was get here before the rain actually started falling. My wife and I spent a couple of days packing up the tent trailer, as typical. We left it kind of to the last minute. Not by our own doing, I would say. Well, perhaps. A little bit of both. Anyhow, we arrived and all was well. What I'm going to do is just kind of draw our tent trailer. And with all things camping, you never expect absolute perfection. That goes the same for my drawing. What I'm trying to do here is just draw the popped up tent trailer. I believe it has a wheel right there. It's got some steps right here. Actually, it only has one step, but I've just thrown in two for effect. Why not? Got a nice big door right here. It's got a little screen and a tiny latch. And we love tent trailers. I gotta admit, I wasn't quite convinced on the idea of it. My wife grew up with a tent trailer in her family, and she felt like it was perfect for our young family here, and I have to admit, it has been. We were on a fairly tight budget, still are, I would say, a few years ago, just before the pandemic hit. Actually, I think during the pandemic. We ended up finding something off of Kijiji, secondhand, for these guys. I've got a really good deal on this tent trailer here. And it's been fantastic ever since. We're still learning how to use a tent trailer and pack it up appropriately. And then it stays quite nice and warm. All things considered. Right there. Some stabilizers. Keeps your tent trailer from tipping one way or the other. There's a tree, and there's a nice big great tree with a branch that is just kind of leaning right up against the kids' bunk area. And that wasn't intentional by any means. We just didn't quite judge the distance right. Voila. So we had arrived, and just as we'd arrived, sure enough, I'm going to just draw this for effect. We got rained on, and it's been raining ever since. It's actually been one of the wettest trips out here at the pond. So to that effect, what I think I'll do is start off day one with some gray fountain pen ink. Now, in most of my videos, you'll see that I usually use some sort of line spacing guide on the back of my notebooks. I'm not doing that in this case for a couple of reasons. The watercolor paper is actually fairly thick; you wouldn't be able to see through it, which is great. And the second reason is it's a travel notebook, so I don't mind if it gets a little wonky or lopsided. But day one, we arrived just in the nick of time. Now, if I remember correctly, I do actually have some stickers of steak. Not that I don't mind drawing steaks, but steaks are good. And I don't have a drawing of a steak. Or no, sorry, a sticker of a steak. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw some. My father-in-law, we've been, one of our projects earlier this year, I'd say earlier this year, maybe just a couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago maybe now, I've really wanted to build a meditation platform. And my father-in-law was very kind enough to help me source the material and actually build it out here. And it's this beautiful, let me see if I can kind of draw a oval wooden platform. And when we arrived, my father-in-law was actually in the last little bits to finish it off, which was very kind of him. And so there's now a beautiful little dry spot. Just underneath the tree. It's grass. Shaded by fruit branches. It's a really old tree, so it's kind of got like a lot of these little tufts, nice moss on the tree trunk as well. I realize I'm actually and the cool thing about this evening here was that there was an incredible mist that settled in, which turned into a fog. A very thick, heavy fog. And sat outside with me while watching the fog thicken. There was kind of a cool, this really cool tree. We'll see if we can kind of get the idea of what it looked like. So obviously I use quite a bit of color variation on my watercolors. What we're going to do, we're going to just take a little bit of this green maybe? Yeah, that's green. There was this really lone tree just sitting by itself out in the field. It was kind of very like ominous yet beautiful, kind of this wonderful call to nature. That happened for us immediately. Run away. This idea of a light gray fog. Just like that. See if we can get some more gray in there. Fog thing going on. And yeah, not a bad start to camping trip. Just gonna add a separation and washi tape here. Again, these awesome Kita tapes. Right in the middle. Is it a work of art? Probably not. It's all subjective, of course. But I like it. Add a little bit of flavor to the steak. Get some more of this gray into my clouds here. Just get the impression that it was all kind of hanging out, thick gray clouds. Something like that. Ooh, I think I hear my kids, so it's time for me to stop. Make sure that they have some food in front of them. So thanks all for joining me this morning. And I'm sure I'll do a few more spreads on this trip here for the next few days. Day 1, we're done.